Partnerships Officer for Genius Group. I'm very excited to be hosting this Masterclass Series for Scale-Up Entrepreneurs. Scale-Up Entrepreneurs are those who are going through fast growth in their business and are looking to basically be 10xing. So whether you're going from 150K or 100K up to 1 million, or you're going 1 million to 10 million or 10 to 100 million, this is the series for you to be experiencing that fast growth. We have a lot of experience with fast growth scale-up companies. So I'm very excited today. We're going to be joined by the wonderful Donna Izobella, who is actually our head mentor and head coach / head trainer, who looks after all of our very, very top level Crystal Circle clients, and is also one of our top mentors for most of our scale-up programs as well. Donna is over in Australia. So I guess it's good evening for you. Is it, Donna?
It is. Hi, everyone. Yes, it is.
Welcome.
Just gone 6 p.m.
It's just gone 6 p.m. So I'm here in the UK. So it's 9 a.m. here in the UK, and it's 6 p.m. with Donna. So I'm just showing everyone the page here. So this is the page that we're using. I'm not going to press play because that's going to be weird. We're going to see ourselves going twice, but you can click here and see the comments in real time. So do drop us a comment. Let us know where you are dialing in from. So let us know where you're dialing in from, and we can use this for the chat as well today. So if you've got any questions for Donna while we were here on the live, we're going to come back and answer those as well. And also later on during the day, we'll be checking in on those questions. So do drop a note to let us know who is on the call, where you're dialing in from. If you scroll down to here, you'll also find you can download Donna's slides here as well. So whether you want to get those during the masterclass or after is up to you. And of course, if you want to scroll down, you can see some more about Founders Roundtable, which we'll tell you a little bit about later on as well. So do drop in where in the world you are dialing in from. Put your comments and your questions in there as well. I know we've got an action-packed 45 minutes here to an hour with you, with Donna. So I'm super excited to be hearing all about how to build a high-performance team for a scale-up enterprise. So Donna, yeah, let's come over to you then. I'm going to hand over to you. I'm going to be here in the background. So if you need me, you can call on me. But I'm excited to hear what you're going to be sharing. So over to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Michelle. And thanks for inviting me to talk about this today. As you said, I have the honor of actually mentoring hundreds of our top level clients on team and leadership, actually. And so really excited to share with you guys some key things. We do only have 45 minutes. When Michelle said, Donna, can you present on this? My instant thought is, do we have a day? Because there's so much to actually cover. But in saying that, there are some really top key things that you can start implementing today that will make the world of difference to get your perspective and your head around how it is to scale from that organic kind of growth that happens maybe when you're in startup mode up to gearing up to be a full high-performing scale-up enterprise. So let's get on with doing that. And thank you, Michelle, for staying on, because I probably will call on you throughout the session as well. Here, I'm just going to share my screen, everyone, so you can see what we're going to be covering in this morning or evening class, wherever you might be. So we're going to go through the top problems that leaders are facing in a growing company. And I'm sure that many of you on this call will relate to one, if not more, of those. And then we're going to show you how to solve them, how to actually shift you and your team from this organic growth to scale-up growth. What does that actually mean? So we're going to have a look at that, and then dive into the 3 keys to leadership that we use inside of the Genius Group of companies. Tried and tested. We use these with our clients as well. The top 3 things are actually templates and hands-on things that you can do to get your team all in alignment with the vision that you have. And as the 4th thing says, setting up your team to deliver on the vision and contributing a serious amount of cash to your bottom line. Because at the end of the day, we normally need more revenue or more net profit, or maybe a little bit of both, to be able to create that sustainability in our companies for the future growth. So this is all a part of how we do it. So we know the world has been a little bit interesting, still is, but particularly the last 18 months, there has been lots of reacting, lots of reorganizing, And really, time for resetting what the vision is, how you're showing up to the world, how your business is serving the marketplace, and who your superstar team is that you have with you to actually help do that. So maybe you haven't stopped and paused for a little while to think about, okay, how do I shift gears? How do I not only shift myself, but actually bring my team with me so that we can get all re-energized and we can rebuild this wonderful enterprise that we have. So that is what we're going to look at today. Many leaders, this is kind of, well, I guess this is what I'm wanting you to achieve on the flip side, like the flip side of these things. How do you make better decisions? This is what I find talking with our leaders day in and day out. They're always wanting to make a better decision, right? You're at the helm of your company. Maybe you're the CEO, maybe you're the CVO, which is the Chief Visionary Officer, but it all requires you to make better decisions, not only for the long term, but for the short term in day to day as well. We need to make sure we're not sitting on problems and deciding too late with things, or maybe deciding on the wrong thing, either out of procrastination or just not getting that full perspective that we need in our strategy or in the operational management that we're doing. And how do we build our team in the right way is key. So we talk about scale up and we talk about organic growth, right? So how do we shift from organic growth to fast scale up growth? What we often find, if you're the solopreneur, or maybe you've got a small team that is contracted, or one or two key people on your team that are supporting you, but often we find at startup mode and solopreneur mode, you can feel a little bit like the yellow-headed octopus, where, as we say, you have one head, 8 arms, and everything sucks just a little bit from time to time. And you can find that you're in that trap of doing it all yourself. You don't want to do it yourself, but maybe haven't yet started to delegate, started to outsource, started to automate things that you need to, so that you can free up your time and get on with doing what you need to do. When we're wearing too many hats, we're juggling too many things, it's going to impact our decision making without a doubt, because you can't be all things all the time. So often we find that people will have the excuse that they don't have the time or the money to grow. And so if that is a reality, you feel you don't have the time or the money, one of the top things that we look at in the keys is how you actually put your plan together to make sure that you flip that on its head and you have a solid plan over the next 90 days to actually not only bring in more cash, but bring in the cash and leverage your time through maybe outsourcing or bringing in that team member to help you grow. We don't want to stay stuck in this problem. Another problem that we see our solopreneurs actually getting stuck with is not getting paid their worth. So the one that I showed just before could be solved by actually overcoming this one as well. If you look at your prices, look at where your time goes, actually rejig your packages or your products so that they are priced fairly and accordingly, not only to the result that you give to the client, but to your worth of your input to it as well, and the outcome that you get for the client. So if you are at a solopreneur level and you feel like you are stuck in one of these, you probably also feel like you're all alone. And that's where working with a lot of our enterprise guys, they come on board and really get that support to not feel so alone, right? It's not a good feeling. You want to definitely get into flow with your team and with your business. Here's one gentleman that I want to just share with you quickly. If you have been in our community for some time, you might have heard of this fellow. His name is Jonathan Boyd. He's in the US. Remarkable story. He's a classic example who went from one man trying to do it all. He actually has a marketing background, but he's a guitar player and enthusiast, and decided he was going to launch a business bringing those two together. So he basically sells online lessons on playing the guitar. And he started all by himself and was that yellow-headed octopus wearing many hats, doing many things, burning out, stressing, until he actually brought on a team to help him support that, till he got his promotion plans and his business development strategy really solid to be able to scale to that next level. Team was his solution. So going from solopreneur to now he actually has a team more than 9. This was a slide we put together probably a good 7 months ago. I didn't change it because it was impressive enough with what he achieved in the first 12 months. He actually managed to grow his community up to over 17,000 clients. And at that stage was bringing in about 115,000 per month. Now, when I last checked in with him, probably a month ago, he's hitting the over 500,000 a month mark, really from just following the steps that we're going to share with you today as well. So if you are a solopreneur, definitely time to look at what is your small team that can support you. And maybe you already are the leader of a bit more of an established enterprise. The problems that we often find at that level is our leaders are saying, or the founders are saying, I just can't find people like me. That's actually the problem in itself. We don't want to find people like us. We want to find people that complement us, that where our weaknesses are their strengths and so forth. So we're going to have a look at that in a moment about how you bring on the right team to actually scale and grow as well. One of the other problems we find are people at this scale up, getting ready to scale, is there's just not enough profit to grow. So the thought of bringing on a team member can feel a little bit nervous. Well, that's going to thin out my profit margins even more. I need to put that into stock, or I need to put that into marketing and advertising. So we flip the way that you look at your costs and the people that you hire into making sure that you have a strong revenue focus on there. And I can hear, excuse me, my screen making noises. I'll turn that off for you all. Otherwise it'll be beeping all the time. So definitely if you feel that profit is an issue for you, that it's too thin, again, some of the strategies we're going to have a look at, the keys, is about how to increase that bottom line. The other problem that happens at this scaling level is that if you're growing too slow or too fast, right, people in your team can feel it. It gets a bit shaky, it gets a bit rocky. And if they can't see that there's a clear vision and a clear plan that for the future, they all start to flee. They all start to go, hang on, is this ship stable, or is it going to start to sink? So if they get a hint of it could be a bit shaky and rocky, they're going to start fleeing. We see this too often in companies that come to us and they've just lost great talent. They weren't able to keep them because they weren't managing either the projects correctly or the finances correctly. And yet the company itself has such a remarkable solution for the marketplace. So we don't want that to happen, because what happens when the team starts fleeing, this beautiful big ship that you've created starts sinking. So that is what we don't want, right? And Michelle, I just want to bring you back on for a second, because I've worked with hundreds of our clients. You've probably worked with thousands of our clients over the years. And I just want to see, is there anything you would add to kind of these top problems that you see entrepreneurs and founders having?
Yeah, no, I think they are like the key problems, right? I mean, I was actually just doing a founders roundtable yesterday. I was working with one of the entrepreneurs out in South Africa who was saying, he's looking to get his business to go from, no, this is in rounds, but he's looking to go from like 100 million to 300 million rounds, and then and to scale on upwards. And the biggest challenge he's finding is like, how does he get those people who are kind of like him and super talented? And I'll often say to people when we're going through this process is whilst as the business owner and as the kind of CEO and the founder, it'll be very difficult to find someone who's as passionate about your business as you are, because you'll always be the one who's the most passionate and the most driven. It is possible to find people who are super talented and actually even more talented than you as well. And just by going out and giving people a trial. So yeah, I know you're going to talk a little bit later on about how you can bring people into the business. But yeah, we were saying, you know, if you can't find one person to replicate yourself, find two to do half that job. So yeah, there's always a solution when we go through this process.
That's right. And I think the passion, I mean, what you touched on there about people feeling that they can't find someone who's as invested or thinking about it as much as they are, that's actually not a truth. Like when you get people in their flow, you get people in their genius, and you map out a pathway for them as well, they are going to wake up thinking about areas of your business that you're not, or that you're worrying about, but don't have time to strategically, you know, put two and two together in the way that you want. They will wake up and think about that because they're driven, they want their pathway and contribute to something bigger as well. There's a gentleman here, Jim Becker, remarkable business owner. He's actually in the US as well. And he runs a logistics company. And I just wanted to share a bit of his story, because to me, he's a remarkable leader. You know, he's gone through some interesting times over the years, not just through the COVID crisis, but through a logistics freight recession that was taking place in the States, through acquiring businesses to needing to kind of trim the efficiencies and the effectiveness that was taking place in different departments and branches that he had. And what he did actually last year, when, you know, the world kind of took a different turn, he stopped and said, well, there's not much we can do right now when we're in lockdown, other than the essential transport and that's taking place. So he actually personally went and did our profiling system with his team, so 95 team members, and really started tapping into what was their genius, where are they out of flow, where are they in flow, what's their strengths, what's their weaknesses, and how can they reshuffle what the focus is for the individuals and for the team to actually have everybody feeling like they're more in flow and more successful, which contributes to the team and contributes to the company, right? I mean, Jim now is on track for about 115 million this year. And I was just blown away when he said he personally worked with the 95 employees that he had, not on improving systems, but on truly getting to know who his talent was. And that's a key part of leadership. If you want to scale, you've really got to understand your team super well. So let's have a look at how do you actually shift, right? How do you go from this organic growth to fast growth and add maybe 100,000 or more to your bottom line? Maybe you're in solopreneur level and you'd actually love to add 100,000 to your top line. Maybe you're at a scale up level already and you'd love to add 100K or more to your bottom line. It all starts with perspective and perception. So this is a little bit of mindset as well, but also looking at changing your perceptions on how you view things and your perspective on your strategies as well. So really, for your company to thrive, you need to have that ability to observe the business from a different perspective, not just seeing what's possible, but for seeing what challenges are looming around the corner. If we stay, what's that saying? You can't see the forest for the trees. If we stay caught in the problem mindset versus a solution mindset, then we're not able to actually lead effectively. And there's a famous gentleman who says you can't solve your current problem with the same thinking that you used when you created it in the first place. So when we talk about shifting perspective and shifting perceptions, the first thing is that you need to actually check in with yourself and see how willing are you to actually shift these things. often as human beings, not just as entrepreneurs and business owners, but as human beings, we wait until our back is up against the wall before we do something about it. And that is kryptonite, really, to any form of growth, business growth or personal growth. So I'd really challenge you to tune in, just reflect and go, how willing am I to change? Even when things seem to be going pretty good, how willing am I to always be taking an opportunity to pause, look at things from a new perspective, check the filters through which you're seeing things, and change, do the work that's needed to actually shift those. We have two frameworks that we use. And again, if you've been around Roger's work or the company for some time, these might be a little familiar. If they're not familiar, we can definitely point you in the resources or come and talk to us further about what they are. But when we look at perspective, this is where we use the Wealth Lighthouse. So it is essentially a ladder on how a wealth ladder. So it's more so looking at our personal wealth, but it also correlates to what level our business is at. When we look at perceptions, this is where we tune into what are the different wealth personality profiles that we have as an entrepreneur. Oops, sorry. And so think of the profiles about the positions that you play on the field of a game, right? So just as you might have a forward and you might have the winger and you might have a backstop or a goalkeeper, our different profiles in the game of entrepreneurship all have their strengths to actually play to. So I myself am a creator here, and Michelle is actually a supporter profile. So we have very different strengths, very different weaknesses, but also can complement each other. And just as the person who's hosting this, and you can't see their face, they are an accumulator, often behind the scenes and making sure everything works and fits together and supports the flow of what is happening externally. So looking at understanding that the way that we see things, so I'm always looking at innovation, tuning into my intuition. You know, Michelle is always looking at, well, how do I create that connection with people, be it customers or the team? You know, she's really taking care of how's the team? Are they feeling good? Are they therefore working well together? They're on track with their commitments. My initial thought might be more, how's the team? Are they getting stuff done, right? Because it's about innovation and let's get this stuff moving. So we can be very task focused versus very people focused, maybe even timing focused or knowledge focused. So understanding which profile you are is key. And then coming back to the Wealth Lighthouse, what we look at here is there are different levels. Okay. And just like in order to see what is the fastest track up to the mountaintop, if you're going to climb a mountain, it's much easier to see that from standing on top of the mountain and what is the quickest way up than it is at the bottom of the mountain trying to figure out where does that track go. It looks a lot more insurmountable at times when you're standing at the bottom. So always knowing what level you're at on the Wealth Lighthouse, and then what is the level after, and what is the key strategies to get there. Each of these 9 levels that Roger identified in this Wealth Lighthouse all have potential issues at each one. They've all got benefits of being there. They've all got costs of actually being at that level. They come with their own set of like emotions and psychology that you need to overcome and also tap into at each one as well. And more so, there's a strategy to succeed at each level. And coming back to what makes you successful at one level is not the same strategy at that next level. So when we break this down, we're more so talking today about what we call yellow and green level on the Wealth Lighthouse. The Wealth Lighthouse is broken into these 3 prisms. So we've got all about personal flow and mastering your wealth through that, all about the market flow, which is where the enterprises sit. This is where most people on this call would be. You're either a solopreneur or you've got an established enterprise, or you have multiple enterprises, maybe if you're at what we call blue level. They don't quite line up there, but yellow is this level 4, green is 5, blue is 6. And think of it like the analogy of music. So when you're at yellow level, this is you, the solo musician. So if you stop, the music stops. When you're at green level, you have the band. Okay. Now it's, yes, you can stop and the music can keep playing, but more importantly, you've got to have the top players in your band, those that can play those musical instruments really well, but also that are willing to play as a team. Because you know, when a band is out of sync with each other, it doesn't sound too good, right? Maybe something that should be a beautiful harmony or melody sounds like heavy metal. That's what it can feel like inside of our businesses when we haven't got the right mixture of leaders and performers and individual yellow level players, and even our orange level workers that are showing up, making sure that other pieces are getting done as well. So these are the 2 levels that most people on this call would be at, and what it really means to go from that solopreneur that probably has more organic growth happening because you're doing it yourself, you're leading the way yourself, but to really accelerate is to shift into green level, where you've got a team of high performers and high yellow level players there as well. We're going to have a look at that a little bit more later, but really, really powerful to think about, where are you on the wealth spectrum and where do you want to go? Do you want to remain at yellow level, which can be a really highly successful lifestyle business, even bringing in several $1 million, right? Or do you want to move into that green level high performance business, which is multiples of millions of dollars in that space, where you've got other people supporting you to do that? The second pillar, I guess, that is really important here as well is about developing a culture of trust. So to scale up, you've got to have that culture that people get inspired by. Trust is the number 1 factor in every relationship, including business. And if your clients and your team, your employees, people that you want to do partnerships with, your clients know that they can trust you, then they're going to show up and keep coming back, wanting to work with you, wanting to do business with you. So we actually put a lot of focus on the culture that we have inside the company. And it's not about just defining a set of values that you stick up on your website or laminate so it's pretty on your office wall. It's actually, how do you integrate these into the company? So this is one of the critical pieces about building a team of trust, and where they're then inspired to actually show up and be at their best as well. Roger put it really succinctly one day, so I captured this from him. Culture, what does it really mean? I mean, for us, when we're embedding it, it starts with you and who you are being. It's about your character and what you're doing when others are not looking, and what your team is doing when you're not looking. So think about that. What are you doing when others are not looking? Are you slacking off? Are you staying focused? Are you continuing to grow and actually be solution focused? Or are you staying stuck? And what is your team doing when you're not looking? Do you even know what your team is doing? One of the things that we're going to look at in the 3 keys is how we can see what the team is actually doing without micromanaging. So it's really, really critical. Actually, Michelle, I know this is a point that is so dear to your heart, the culture, right? Being that blaze energy, that supporter profile as well, it's so much about the people. How would you say that, this is our values here, by our company actually embedding this into everything that we do, and it not just being a bright, beautiful picture on the wall? How has this made a big difference when, we've had to do some serious pivoting and changing over the last 18 months?
Yeah. A great mentor once said to me, if you have a really, really strong culture and then the hits the fan, you'll always figure out a way to make it work. If you don't have a great, strong culture and a real commitment to your vision and purpose, and that hits the fan, you'll basically just walk away, pack it up, and start all over again. And it's very, very true. So, you know, the culture is fundamental to everything that we do. We recruit people based on culture.
Yeah.
We don't train people on culture because you can't. Culture is there. So we recruit people based on fulfilling on those values, and we live that culture. We do reward people based on the culture. So we have like our Shine Awards, we have our quarterly reviews and our annual reviews, which talk about the culture, and we talk about culture a lot as well. So I'll go out looking for people who have that cultural fit, because you can train them in the skills and experience, but you cannot train them in that culture. And basically, you know, you were saying earlier about the fact that if you have that right team, you know, they'll wake up every morning like focused and motivated. If you have the right team with the right culture, they'll always figure out a way to make it work, and they'll always care enough about each other and the customers and the partners in a way that they'll make sure that happens. And what's kind of interesting as well is, you know, that culture is really for our team, but I see it permeating out amongst our partners and our clients as well. Like I do see that culture reflecting in a lot of the people that we actually attract in.
Yeah, because it's something you feel, right? It's not something that you tick off, that you actually do. And I think what you mentioned there about, you know, culture versus even the skill set, we do look at high performance. You know, if someone is not performing, it's either they don't have the capability, they don't have the capacity, or they're not the right cultural fit. So, you know, capacity and capability you can tend to work with, but culture, you want to get that right. And yeah, absolutely. All righty. Thanks, Michelle. So the other key piece that's really important is, you know, doing this is about creating a team of inspired leaders. What that means for us is, first, design the vision, design the plan, you know, and get the team to actually help design the implementation plan that you're doing as well. Because when you've got very clear the what and when you want things to happen, then you identify your team that's going to execute the plan. If you do it the other way around, you look at your team and you go, okay, what can we do together? You might have the wrong team in place to actually fulfill upon your vision. It doesn't mean that your team is not good, but it's always you as the founder and the chief visionary officer of your company. Get super clear on the vision, and then look, what is that A-grade team that we need in place to actually bring that to fruition? I'm not going to spend a lot of time on here. Most people, if you found your way to this call, you probably have got some level of awareness of our Wealth Dynamics profile system, but making sure, again, that you've got all areas kind of covered of your business in these different profiles is key. So if you've got a company that just has dynamo geniuses, those that are idea smart, and you don't have any of the other profiles on, you're going to have really great and inspiring conversations, but nothing's actually going to take form and come to fruition, right? Dynamo geniuses are great at starting things, not so good at finishing. Our tempo geniuses are really grounded, and they're going to make sure that the activity that needs to happen to bring this into form is taking place. But don't ask them to create the vision, right? That's where you need the vision really clear, and then have tempo people that are going to help with customer service, follow up, all of the timing thing that's really important. Likewise, having blaze people, the connection to the team, connection to your marketplace is really key. They love people, but can get distracted quickly. So it's really important that you've got the measures in place as well, so we can see the outcome that they're aligned to. And then our steel genius is very detail smart, taking care of details. You need those on your team to make sure you've got your finances, your systems, your processes, and everything in place. So definitely think about, do you have the energies that you need in your team? Let's jump into what the 3 keys are. And again, I could have a whole day to actually do this, but we are, let's just see. Are we still live, Michelle? I think our host has dropped off.
We're still going.
We're still live? Good. Okay.
But we're still going, so don't worry.
Okay, good. So let's jump into what the 3 keys are. Now, this is how we actually implement everything that I've just spoken about and Michelle and I have touched on, right? These are the 3 key things I want you to actually take away today. First of all, having clarity of vision and mission, that is critical. Second is having very clear and precise 90-day business development plans. We call them promotion plans, but making sure you've got those 90-day sprints in place. And thirdly, setting up your rhythm in your company that you and your team essentially keep to. It becomes the heartbeat of the organization. So when we talk about clarity of vision and mission, what does that actually mean? If you don't have a clear and compelling vision, then it's not going to be attractive to key talent and partners and customers to come. They might get excited about what you do, but you know yourself when you can be super clear on what it is that you're here to do, the problem that your company is solving, the help that you need in order to scale that to the next level. That's when people can show up and say, I can see how I can help you. Now, we actually complete a team charter for us. That's a document that we use internally that helps us articulate that vision and show it to potential new talent or partners that are joining us as well. It's also where we keep all of our plans. So our team charter not only has a 5-year plan and a 1-year plan and our 90-day plans, but we actually had, it was a 15-year plan back in 2015, I think, when Roger first wrote this. He wrote the entrepreneur blueprint for where he saw the company in each of the 5 years from 2015 to 2020 to 25 and 2030. And what is super cool is that all of this is actually coming into play. It's all happening. And I think back at 2015, some of us were probably like, that sounds great, not entirely sure how it's going to happen. But our chief visionary officer definitely knew how it was going to happen or what he wanted it to happen, and has made sure he's brought on the right talent at each stage to actually bring that into fruition. Michelle, you've been around for a long time. I think you'd agree, even back in 2015, we could tune into the vision, right? But didn't really know how it was all going to happen, but it's happening.
Yeah, I think Roger's always had this like uncanny ability to see in the future. Like, I mean, he lives in the future, right? So sometimes it's hard to actually get him. But yeah, he lives in the future, and so much. I think we're very lucky to be around him because so much of what he predicts just continuously happens, you know. And many of our community members get to see that when they come to like the variety of events or the different masterclasses that we run. But yeah, he's constantly making predictions, and we can just rely on them. I remember saying to him over a year ago when we were talking about hopefully running a live event in October, I said, are we going to be able to? He's like, we probably could in America, but not really anywhere else. It's like he just knows the way that those trends are going because he's been mapping out all of history and all of the future trends and staying connected to them as well. So yeah.
Yeah. And when you are the leader of your business, you are the one that is so acutely attuned into that. So definitely make sure you're capturing your vision. That's really key so that you can share it with your team. They can see what direction is this ship heading in, and do I want to jump on board that ship and be a part of it? And is there a pathway there? So when we do our team charter, I mean, there's actually lots included in it, right? I'm not going to take you through all of it today, but this is one of the key things that if you choose to actually work with us further in any of our programs like our Masters or our Crystal Circle mentoring, we really step through these 8 different promises. And these are critical to flesh out with your team. You know, what is the enterprise promise? What is it that the company stands for? What is the promise that you're actually making to your customers? How you're solving their problems, the transformation that you're helping them to achieve, that what's the product you actually have that's going to deliver that, what's the social proof that you have there. So that all sits in our customer promise. When you can articulate these, it's really clear then, okay, what are we bringing into our 90-day focus? We have network promises. What are you promising out there into the marketplace? people that you're going to partner with, market promise in terms of like valuation goals of the company, particularly if you're wanting to attract, investments and investors into the company as well. What's the promise to the investors? What's the return on it? Is it a cash return? Is it a capital growth? Like, what is happening in terms of the cap value that's there? What's your system promises to make sure that everything runs smooth and effectively and that you're leveraging all of your resources really well? And social promise, this is how do you give back? How do you make an impact, from the success that you're creating? How do you actually pay that forward? So we spend quite a bit of time getting clear on these, and these are critical from that top level leadership, so that you've got that vision forward in each of these areas. We then go through, we will set what's actually our specific targets in terms of revenue. We did this back in December. It's a little bit different now, even because of the fast growth that we've had, but this is what it was back in December last year, projecting forward to this year. What's the revenue we want? What's the profit? This is just a one company inside of the group. This is not the entire group. What's the valuation we want? What's the number of students and partnerships? So we actually fill that out, and everyone in the team can see this is collectively what we're heading towards. And then we break down all of those things that I just showed you before, all the different promises and so forth that are there. So that's one of the key things about having that clarity of vision, writing it out, actually putting it to paper, sharing it with your team. And then the other piece that we look at here is each individual having their own personal compass. So this is key. Maybe you've heard of the concept called OKRs, Objectives and Key Results. A gentleman called John Doerr actually wrote the book Measure What Matters, and it's a framework that's been used by the likes of Google and Bono Foundation and different companies as to simplify and clarify the way that they set essentially their KPIs. So not having a cumbersome set of KPIs and metrics, but really clear objectives and key results for each individual. Here, I'll just show you one of ours. This is actually Roger's from earlier this year. We add a little bit more to it. So we align and share with the team what's our purpose. This is connected to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So I can see Rogers is about quality education. It tells me, I get it, it's kind of clear. That's the enterprise that he's heading. Mine personally is about partnerships for the goals. So I'm really keen at looking at how can we bring different partners, different businesses together to achieve many of the different goals. We can see each other's profiles. We can see each other's top passions. We do the passion test to actually identify this. And it just helps you really understand your team. So when I look at my team, they're different to my passions. Some might be aligned, but some are different. And it helps me just understand what's a priority for them. What do I need to be mindful of on that humanity and personal side to make sure that that's being supported as well. We look at our top values. It's a little bit like our own internal culture code that we have here. I can see what's really important to Roger, so that if I'm ignoring some of those things in my working relationship with him, it can create some friction maybe. If he has a top value of clarity and I'm wishy-washy with something, it's not going to resonate too much, right? So, or maybe if there's no fun and it's all serious, we're just not connecting and aligning with the values of each other as much as we can do by simply identifying them. We also look at our personal compasses. We write roles quarter by quarter, okay? It's not just about having a job description. It's actually having a very succinct, this is my key role for the quarter and my key responsibilities. Roger might have one too many roles on here, but that's his creative brain. And what's the responsibilities that he's doing? They shift and change just slightly from quarter to quarter. Now, they might not. But this is the really important piece. This is the OKRs. It's where we break down what are the 3 top priorities that you have just for this quarter. So we've set the big picture year vision, and then each of us in the company actually will write what are our own OKRs. So priority 1 for Roger is all around IPO. Priority 2 is all around curriculum. Priority 3 is all around his leadership structure in the companies. And then he's got 3 key results identified for each one. So he shares this with us, and me being on the team can say, well, this is what he's promising he's doing, right? So we're all kind of holding him to that because he has transparently shared it, like we all do with each other as well. So we have a whole file of our personal compasses that we can go in and actually, I can see what Michelle's is, she can see what mine are, we can see where they support each other. Really, really key. And then we'll report on this at the end of each quarter as well. How well did we go? What worked? What didn't work? And it kind of loops back around to that culture piece as well. It aligns for us because it's very much about being entrepreneurial, what worked and what didn't work. It's inspiring when we see others really achieving, and we get inspired to make sure we stick to these as well. And they're a great true north. This is the personal compass. So if something else comes up that you want to do or you get asked to do, and it's not fitting within this personal compass, then we probably shouldn't be doing it, right? Because you are at risk of actually compromising the success of these outcomes. And this is what we've promised to everyone else in the team. So these are absolutely key for us. Michelle, is there anything you'd like to add to the personal compasses? Because I know you've probably been the most diligent person over the past 10 years with your personal compass.
I don't think there's anything to add. I mean, I think like you've covered everything there, and I dropped in the link to John Doerr's book as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, when we extended the OKRs from the personal compass, it definitely like even tightened up what everybody's focus was each quarter. Yeah. And I'm conscious of time as well, so I'm not going to spend too much on
Okay, cool. Look, I'll touch on the second and the third principle here. So the second principle is about having your 90-day impact promotion plan. So for us, this is about identifying where you're at on the impact meter. This is a little bit similar to the Wealth Lighthouse, but coming back to having the right strategy, right, for where your level of business is. So if you are a solopreneur and you're just wanting to get your first 10 customers, the strategy that you put in place for the next 90 days is vastly different to if you're wanting to get 100 customers or wanting to get to 1,000 customers or beyond. So each one of these levels of what we call the impact meter has a very different strategy to it. And that's what we center our 90-day plan around. What is the marketing strategy? We call it the value cycle, that actually is going to take you from one level to the next, or solidifying that level there. When we go into our promotion plan, there's basically, this is the anatomy of what a promotion plan is. It's choosing your niche or clarifying your niche if you need to, really saying, why are we even doing this plan? Making sure that you're super clear on your customer and avatar that you're speaking to. One of the biggest problems that we find is that people are trying to be all things to many people. And so we're often chiseling down here, what is the focus? Who's the avatar that you're serving? Serve them really well before you expand. The thing about scaling in your team is that you can expand into more than one customer type, or maybe into regions, when you've got a bigger team to be able to do that. So if you're at that smaller level on the business, definitely don't try and split your focus too much, because it works against you rather than for you. Things in here is definitely having clarity on their problem, personalizing the solution. That's through the product that you're offering, and making it so compelling that people want to do business with you now. It's not about selling ice to Eskimos. It's about actually having that high trust transference taking place in the marketplace because of the products and the services that you're delivering all the way through your pathway, whether it's from free information to lower priced products to higher priced products or samples or partnerships that you align with. So, definitely making sure that that compelling offer is there and you're building trust the whole way. And setting the financial targets and the learning targets and the development targets that are there. So if we don't clearly define what these targets are before we start out, we kind of get busy and we hope for the best. We hope that we'll achieve those targets, but we haven't got the precise plan and the pathways to actually achieve those. So we flesh that out a lot. We can definitely, step you through our templates even further. They kind of take, a good couple of hours to go through, but that just shows you the anatomy of it there. And we break it down into all of the different energies that we use as well. So getting clear on what your objectives are, when do you need to do them, who's going to do them, and how are they actually going to do them. That's really key. The third key that I wanted to talk about here, I know I'm rushing through these, but hopefully you're seeing the pieces that you need to actually start to put into place. This one is key. It's a third key for a reason. It's all about creating rhythm. If you go too fast and you break things, that's not going to work. If you go too slow and you don't get momentum that you need, that's not going to work either. So the whole idea of creating a rhythm, and we do that in a 12-week cycle, is so that you're earning and learning at the same time. The way that we actually create a rhythm is break it. This looks very complex, but it's not. We basically have a yearly focus where we're setting our year vision, and then each quarter we're doing the team charter that I spoke about. So a brand new team charter will happen each quarter. Not our promises. So our promises stay in there for the year, but each quarter we're actually putting new promotion plans into play, and we have our key leaders who are doing that. Then we have each month, we're looking at our personal compass to make sure that we stay on track. We have our promotion plans that we're reviewing each month, each week. We're making sure we're on track with those. And then we have what we call our flight deck, which is where we're reviewing our numbers every single week as well. So this enables us to have that visibility on our OKRs, or maybe your KPIs, as to what our numbers should be at in terms of new leads into the business, new community in, conversations that we're having with people to come on board as customers. So we don't get to the end of a quarter and think, oh my gosh, we haven't hit our targets. We're able to pivot and be very agile as we go throughout, actually day by day, really. It's not even week by week, but day by day. So that's a key piece for us, bringing that rhythm into play. And then we match all of our weekly meetings to these different pieces as well. So making sure we're keeping track of our numbers on one day, getting into, celebrating the wins and identifying the challenges that we need to unblock. We make sure that on another day, we're really focusing on where improvements and developments need to take place. These are all linked into the 5 energies that kind of filter through everything that we do. On another day, we're looking at, well, who do we need to connect with? Who have we connected with? Maybe that's a new partner. Maybe it's someone in the team that's done something really fabulous and we want to give them a shout out across the company. So we do things like that on our communication day. And then we have a day that we focus on what are our milestones that we've been working on, how we're progressing towards achieving those, and what do we have coming up for the next week. So again, we're breaking down yearly to quarterly to monthly to weekly, and we're checking in on these each day of the week as well. So they're really our top 3 keys. Michelle, I'm going to invite you back on because there might be something you want to add to that. I know there's so much information in there. Hopefully people have got something they can take away from that.
I think those 3 keys super, super important. And it really helps when you, as a team, understand, first of all, what's important and why is it important, which is what your team charter is. what's your part that you're going to play within that, which is your personal compass and your promotion plan, and making sure that you have an understanding of like where you need to be showing up and when, which is your rhythm, right? So this is super important to really establish that enterprise, to really allow a high performance team to establish itself. So I really hope you've taken those 3 keys. You're going to use those. And right now, like if you're looking to recruit people, it's a candidates market, right? Like 40% of the people now who are out there looking to change roles are looking to completely have a life change. Like they're looking to have a total life change. So, and one of the clients I was speaking with on Founders Roundtable this week was saying the challenge he's having actually finding the right level of people because it's so hard to recruit right now. So by having these 3 keys in place, it creates more attraction. What we're finding by having these 3 keys, we're finding that the candidates who are coming to us are candidates who are looking for something purposeful. They are looking for a strong culture. They are looking for a place where they can be high performing, but they're looking for a company that's fast growth so they can see there's a career progression within that company. So these 3 keys, super, super important to really be putting in place. So awesome. That was great that you shared all of that content, Donna. And I think just in the last few minutes, like I'd love everyone to be dropping into the chat what your biggest takeaway has been. So do drop into the chat, like what's been your biggest takeaway or the big sort of aha moment that you've heard while we've been going through this. And just in terms of next steps for everyone as well, Donna, let's just talk a few minutes about the Founders Roundtable. We've mentioned it briefly just on this call. So Donna and I actually run these Founders Roundtable. We don't have a lot of time to do them. Excuse me. Donna is busy mentoring all of our top clients. You heard some of the stories. I'm busy running all the partnerships and all of the graduate programs. But both of us are in charge of multi-million-dollar programs. So we're out there supporting other entrepreneurs who are scale-ups, who want to learn from us and have a mentoring experience. And we're focusing on these things. So, there's many problems that you're being faced with as a scale-up entrepreneur, whether it's time, whether it's flow, whether it's cash flow, or whether it's team. And we actually run these Founders Roundtable based on these different principles. So we will be running one in the next few weeks just on team. So if you've been watching this and you really want to figure out, well, how do I actually establish the right team? How do I build that right culture? What's important for my growth? Then do book to have a call with one of the team to see if Founders Roundtable is right for you. Typically, when people are coming through this, it's a 90-minute session. We have 4 entrepreneurs in total. And we can show you a way to at least get a 20% growth in the next 12 months. But some people we've been working with up to 100% just in that 90 minutes. It's very, very focused. It's very fast paced. You've seen Donna move at speed today. We do move at speed over the roundtable. Now,
well,
it's not for everyone.
At speed, Michelle, right? But I would just add that, it's a massive difference between us transmitting information at you and actually engaging and kind of workshopping with you during that time. So that's what makes them so powerful.
Exactly. So it's not for everyone. Please only apply if you are a scale-up entrepreneur. We've only got 10 spots that we can give away for free because our time is precious. We are busy running businesses, but we do want to support scale-up entrepreneurs and see if we can help you find the right next steps to take. So we're going to make sure that you do have a really recession-proof plan. And we'll walk you through what those steps are to 10x, whether you're going from 150K to 1.5 million or, however you're 10xing up. And we'll be sharing these case studies of the fastest growth multi-million-dollar businesses and why they're growing so quickly today. So you can see that. And you can connect in with all of our top entrepreneurs as well. It is limited. So, if you want to apply, do, but make sure that you are at least already $150,000 turnover. So you're either 150 going up to the 1.5 or you're $1 million looking to 10 or 10 looking to 100. We will put you in the group that is right for your level of business, by the way. So we run separate Founders Roundtables for the different levels that Donna was talking to on the wealth spectrum and the impact meter. But we've only got 10 spaces available, like I said, just because our time is, we would do more if we could, we just can't because we're super busy doing our own businesses as well. But if you want to come and join us for one of those in the next few weeks to really focus on your team and your culture, click here. What will happen is you'll go to have a quick chat with one of the team. The team will just check in on a few things around your business and your growth to make sure they're putting you in the right session. And then we'll see you in the next week or so. Either Donna or myself will see you depending on your time zone, basically. So I'm in EMEA and Donna is in APAC. So we, between us, cover all 3 time zones. Anything you want to add there, Donna, on kind of the value of joining us for a Founders Roundtable session?
Oh, look, we've had people who have come on Founders Roundtable and then gone and taken action immediately and, added 100K to the top line, just by seeing how they can change that perspective, how they can, add a new product or do it differently, or a way to actually create more profit coming into the company as well. So I love them because you actually are filling out some information before you come on as well. So Michelle and I are preparing. It's not us just getting on there and throwing wild ideas at you. We're actually preparing based on what you're asking and sharing with us, so your top challenges as well. So really high valuable. If you are in that level, do jump on. It's a great opportunity to get that guidance and mentoring from Michelle and I.
Now, you might be watching here live, you might be catching up with us later, so do drop in the comments if you're catching up with later, and if you've got any questions, you can tag Donna or myself. All you need to do is scroll down. So on the page where you're watching the live right now, obviously I'm not going to press play because that would be weird, but just scroll down, and underneath your next steps, you'll find out about Founders Roundtable, and you can just click to secure your seat, which is where you can apply and tell us a bit more about your business. So we look forward to seeing you either on one of our next Scale Up Entrepreneur Masterclasses, or indeed in our Scale Up Circle. The team will drop in the link to our Scale Up Circle so you can stay connected with us to hear more about these kind of events and be the first to be notified when we're doing them, because they are specifically for Scale Up Entrepreneurs. Otherwise, we'll see you on a Founders Roundtable, and have a great week ahead, everyone. Donna, thank you so much for taking time out. I know
thanks for inviting me
with all the clients that you're mentoring and helping. So really super appreciate you being here today. And thank you to Shane and all the team for putting it